Hello, everyone. Hi. I am exhausted. Hey, there's a box of tissues. There we go. Let's put this back up a little bit. You can still see the tissues. It's fine. How's everyone doing? So, I'm going to do the thing for today. I went to my friend's graduation and I was late, which was a little sucky, but it's fine. Um, I was walking for so long. These are the same friends that I'm going on vacation with at the end of the month. And my dad just bought a little exercise bike. So every day I'm going to be on that bike so I can build my resistance, so I can build my stamina and my endurance for when we go on this trip because they're both, I would say, significantly more active than I am. Significantly, maybe a little bit of an overstatement. At the very least, they are much more active than I am. And I was I was talking to my friend. I was like, "Am I gonna make it? The light is orange today. Orange is what I set the light on when it gets later because I assume it's less blue light. But why not a blue light? Then you can't see. Oh, there I am. Let's ooh, pink light. There's like hot pink light, and then there's like a lighter pink light. Let's go hot pink light. I'm feeling hot pink today. Um, and like, can you tell? Kinda. Yeah, you can tell. Also, this is not one of my best undershirts, but it is clean. So, so yeah, that was today, and I saw this little black bird, and like there was a squirrel that almost approached me today, and I was like, "Oh, like, are you gonna approach? Are you not gonna approach?" Like it was on a bench or whatever. It wasn't a trash can, and then it looked at me, and then it got a little closer, and then it turned away, and then it looked back. And I was like, "So, like, are we doing this?" And then it ran off. And then there are these little blackbirds, this little blackbird that let me get pretty close. And I've never seen a blackbird like this before. Like around the its shoulder, like the part where the wing starts, it was like yellow and like red. And then when it flew, like my friend took a better picture, but he hasn't sent it to me yet. It was like this. I don't know what kind of bird that is. I was like, what kind of bird is that? What? I was like, what? And there was we went to the arboretum and like there was this path that was really cool. Hold on, let me see. Let me turn the brightness down a little bit so y'all can see a little better. Oh, peanut butter cookies. Don't mind if I do. Yes, please. I told my grandma, I was like, she'll hold on to those peanut butter cookies for a few days and then she'll ask me if I want some. There's the path. Yeah. Let's see if the bird, well, the bird you could see. And then, like, there was this fish, a goldfish, at the top of the pond, and it stuck its little tail up and it waved at me. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm a Pisces. Hi, fish." And then we went to the Japan house. There were so many nature was like pretty gorgeous today. There's a picture. Here's a picture of a fish. Anyway, it was a good day. My heart is full. My legs are sore. My head hurts. I'm a little tired. This is a Cummins hat I got from my buddy. I told him he sold out to Cummins. He has Cummins like shirts, sweaters, his uniforms, hats, all kinds of stuff. What am I looking for? This right here. So today is the 10th. Let's see what today brings us. May 10th. This is Mother's Day in Mexico. It says Blackberry winter describes a brief period of cold weather that occurs when blackberries are in bloom in the United States, early to mid May. I didn't know that there was a word for that. It's funny because on my Facebook last night, I was like, "How do you know when your girl is no longer your girl when it's cold and outside in the month of May?" Um, because you know the one song, "When it's cold outside, I got the month of May. I guess you'd say, what can make me feel this way, my girl?" Right? And it's cold in May. The cold outside, though, is keeping the cicadas at bay because when the soil gets warm enough, trillions apparently of cicadas are going to be popping up in 15 out of 50 states, and I'm in one of them. And so this is interesting, though, because this blackberry winter, it can kill other things like strawberries. I remember one May, it snowed years ago, and it like decimated strawberry fields. But there's a word for when it gets cold when the blackberries bloom, when the blackberries are in bloom. So the Ten of Wands and the Seven of Pentacles just came out, which is interesting. This would speak in difficulty in cultivation. Excuse me. Bottom of the deck is the Wheel of Fortune, the Wheel of the Year, which gives us that energy of seasons. Especially in this deck, we see the different seasons represented in the elements. And so there is a little bit of an energy here of not being able to accommodate for or account for the things that we can't account for. It's almost like there's no way. Which one of these is supposed to be winter? Cups looks like autumn, which is interesting. And then everything else is flowering. Flowering. There's an energy of things that we can't account for. And with the Seven of Pentacles here, with the, I want to say farmer, but the planter. With the Seven of Pentacles here, that's the energy of like, it's an energy of like agriculture, cultivation, nurturing something with the intention of a harvest later, right? So it's not necessarily nurturing something for the sake of being nurturing. It's not caring for something for the sake of being kind. There is an anticipated harvest in this. And that's why farmers put the effort that they put into it, right? And so when situations and circumstances outside of our control, like the weather, take sudden and drastic turns in ways that has the opportunity to reduce the yield from the harvest that year, it can create extra burdens because like that's our livelihood or that's the livelihood of the farmer. And so it's like the farmer has chosen a livelihood where there it's the same as any other, but where there is so much outside of their control. They can only take care of the things that they can take care of. Everything else, it's like, well, they're left to the mercy of this will of the year. And then we have this blackberry winter, is when, again, blackberry winter describes a brief period of cold weather that occurs when blackberries are in bloom in the United States, early to mid May. Now, it was actually warmer today here. It's been colder for the past few days. It was freezing like the night before last. Like, I woke up cold in the middle of the night and had to grab like the second blanket that I have on my bed. It's almost an energy like, well, you've chosen a path where there's so much that happens outside of your control. Also, lately, in spirit of allowing the world to be rewritten, it came to me, especially when it was about the divine, I guess it's a divine shortcut, when the energy of the shortcut came out, and it was the energy of a world that loads in real time. And it's like, well, if you hit a moment of pause or if you hit a moment of buffering, then it's like something is loading. It's basically like you've hit a load screen. You have come upon a new area that wasn't currently loaded based upon the last area that you were in. And most of the times, I guess if we think about it in a certain way, we don't really hit those. But when things change drastically enough, quickly enough, then it's like a brief moment in time where it's like the logistics have to be sorted out. And so it's almost like, if you've been doing your work and if you found your way upon a shortcut or two, or you're moving into a completely different arena because of the person who you now are versus the person who you used to be, there may be a brief period where things don't necessarily move too quickly, but it's like you've hit a loading screen. And so then it's like when a video buffers, it'll resume. Now, I was playing the game with my brother yesterday and I was lagging like crazy. And so there was a point in time when it's like I was playing Monster Hunter. And so the monster isn't going anywhere. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'll get a bunch of free hits in then. And so I'm just like hitting the monster, doing my thing. And then it's like the quest is already done on his screen. I'm the one lagging. And so the monster's like jumping all over the place and then it just falls over. And I was like, what? Okay. So it's like whenever it comes back online, it speeds up and then it stops. And so if we hit a moment of pause, we may also hit a moment of acceleration. And so with this, it feels like we've been cultivating something. We hit a cold day, we freak out. It's like, oh my gosh. Or it's like it could be the opposite too. If it's colder, but then you have a really warm day, then you may worry about things sort of sprouting or coming up before it's ready, before it's time, because then it's going to get cold again and it might kill it. And so here's the anxiety and the worry about what these perceived burdens would be because of how the seasons have drastically changed. But it almost feels that like it's not going to be cold long enough to do any severe damage. It also feels like the length of that cold spell is dictated by us, right? And that's kind of sort of the energy of a snag in the road. It's the energy of a setback. I don't know why it popped up on my timeline or on my feed, but it was a video of I guess it was a couple, and it said like she dumped me because I relapsed or something like that. And the dude said he was like 5 years sober before they met. One of the conditions of their relationship was that they both be sober because they had both experienced problems with alcoholism. And if they were with someone who was like drinking or using, then it would make it like less it would make it more tempting or more difficult for them to continue not using or drinking. And so he said that he was like 5 years sober, and then they were together 5 years, and so he was like 10 years sober when he relapsed. And it almost feels like the energy of an energetic relapse. It feels like maybe we were in a good place and in a good spot in like isolation or when things were easier, but then it's like we're one experience from having like a complete and total relapse. And having the relapse is okay because it's like the plants can survive a day or two or a few hours of the cold, but it's prolonged cold that will really do damage. And so maybe this is a little bit of a message. And shout out to Amanda again from Anamkara Messages. I was over there today. Sometimes I get almost like so enraptured in what she's doing. That was my second live, but it's like I kind of don't want to say anything because like I don't want to interrupt the flow. I'm just like there in like appreciation. I'm like, oh, okay. Um, but she talked about that a little bit today and how she had found that calm spot. And she had come upon, I'll say, I can't remember if she said it. She had come upon an opportunity to rediscover that. And she had come upon an opportunity to ground herself in it. And it's sometimes when we have those moments where we're sort of shaken out of alignment a little bit that we realize it's almost like the state of our foundation. So that's why I view it as an opportunity to like either get back to that spot or to find a way to build our foundation in it or make our standing in that space even stronger. Right. And I feel like that's what we could turn this into. Either this could be an opportunity for us to get back to the Seven of Pentacles energy. So maybe that is it too. Like maybe we were in a space where we were more conscious, cognizant, and aware of what we were doing energetically. And it's like once we sort of found our rhythm in that, then it's almost like we kind of lose it because life picks up. And when life picks up with the Ten of Wands, when we have all of these other things going on, we kind of sort of forget the thing that we were tending to that was preparing us for whatever cycle we're being prepared for. The cycle that we're being prepared for from the 10 to the 11, justice, with the lovers and the magician. Like that's four pretty, like these are some pretty cool majors. The Wheel of Fortune, justice, the lovers, and the magician. And then the Four of Cups is behind this. I feel like the Four of Cups could be that space where it's again, it's like we hit a cold day or we have an off day. And it's either, I remember also when I was in, I did group therapy for a depression for one semester. I would have done it for 2 semesters, but our schedules didn't line up to have enough people to have a group in the second semester. But one of there were a few things that I learned in therapy that just completely just like blew my mind, changed my life. The first was that the choices and decisions that I made when I was a child and I was overwhelmed with the circumstances and that I had been dealt in life and where I didn't have the capacity to make choices that I now have the capacity to make when I hadn't experienced enough life to know that like this isn't the end. There are worse things that could happen, or just to know that like how manageable it could be, right? One of the things that I got into when I decided to finally start doing all the things that I needed to do was I started using accessibility features. And using accessibility features made me feel more comfortable using technology. But before it was like, well, if I start using the features, then that means that this thing is real. And it's like, well, regardless of whether or not you use the features, it's going to be real, Patrick. It's already real. You ignoring it or pretending like it's not there, trying to be as unimpacted as you can be by not seeking out resources and using them only serves like it doesn't invalidate or make your situations and circumstances go away. Actually, in all reality, if you use these features, then you'll be less impaired and impacted, girl. Like that's why the accessibility features are there to make it more accessible for you. But I wasn't in a space to receive that anyway. So that was one of the things that really changed everything. The choices and decisions that I made when I was a child, I know like I was not bound to because I had experienced a lot of life since then and I had grown a lot since then. I was like, oh, and like just him saying that like freed me. I was like, oh, you're right. Like I don't have a responsibility. Like I was in a pretty dark place. And so from those dark thoughts came some dark visions, I guess. And I'm under no obligation to honor those. And the second thing that really helped me, that was in individual therapy. In group therapy, she told me that like cuz we were talking, I was like, I'll go to class, I'll get depressed. Because I'm depressed, I'll like miss a day or two. A day or two will turn into a week, will turn into 2 weeks. And then after like a week and a half to 2 weeks, I'll get depressed about the class that I missed, and so then I'll miss more class until I've missed too much class. And then I go back to class after like 3 weeks, sometimes 4 weeks, sometimes. Maybe at the worst, like 6 weeks. And she was like, well, like, and what she said, it was the difference between a slip and a slide. She was like, you can have a bad day, you can have an off day, and off 2 days, and off 3 days. You can have an off experience, like an off night or an off few hours, and then like get up the next day or after that period and go right back to it. She was like, you can slip. You don't have to slide. Because what I would do is I would slide back into like a full blown depression instead of just slipping in that off day. And again, I don't know. I feel like it's something that's like so simple, but that was another thing that really changed everything for me. Because then it's like I would allow myself that day, that evening, that morning, those few days. And then I wouldn't sort of get fully caught in the pattern and in the cycle. And I feel like that's this energy here. The Four of Cups is the slide, the Three of Cups is the slip, right? When we slide, that's when we go all the way into this Four of Cups. Like we feel like we've missed out on something for whatever reason. We feel that we're not worthy or capable of receiving what the divine is presenting, or that we've already missed out on it. It feels like in the Three of Cups, we can kind of sort of slip into that energy, but then find ourselves like confronted, find ourselves consoled and comforted, so that instead of slipping into this maybe weeks long off season or cold season in the middle of spring, it can be like a day or 2 days where it's not so much time has passed that the pinnacles are now looking like, hold up. Oh, this is some gorgeous energy. I don't know why I said it like that, but the energy at the bottom of the deck is beautiful. But that's not what I'm looking for right now. This is what I'm looking for. Stuck between the Knight of Swords and the Hanged Man. I might talk about the energy under this because the Ace of Swords is sitting under this Three of Cups and Four of Cups. And I feel like the Ace of Swords, again, it's like what we can do with the information that I just shared with you. Either you can choose to slip with the Three of Cups or go into a full blown slide with the Four of Cups. And it feels like with this Ace of Swords, especially with all of this energy, with the Wheel of Fortune, Justice, the Lovers, and the Magician, it feels like we are coming to a point where we've built up enough experience to better be able to handle things, even if it catches us off guard in the moment. And so, if we can slip instead of sliding, what'll happen is we'll be still here at the seven. But if we slide, it's like we slide all the way back to the Five of Pentacles, where it's like now it's been cold for so long, all the greenery has like disappeared, and all we see is like these branches with these pinnacles that are barely hanging on, right? And I feel like that's what this energy is. I don't know in what way it's coming about, but that's what this cold weather is sort of like in the middle of spring. And like what's the most discouraging is that like the blackberries had just started blooming. And then it's cold and it's like, oh my gosh, like I was finally getting somewhere. Now it's like when I connected with my spirit guides and I was feeling good for like 2 days, and then I had the darkest night of my life that lasted for like 2 to 3 days. And I was like, oh, so like spirit guides, y'all just gonna like leave me here? Okay. No, I think that was after the group. And so that like several days slip, which could have been a whole slide, I ended up coming out of it. And when I came out of that, that's when I decided that everything had to change. Now, under that Ace of Swords is the World, the Emperor, the Star, the Shadow Side, and the Tower. Page of Cups is under the Tower. It's opening us up for something new. And under this Page of Cups is the Eight of Pentacles with the Ace of Pentacles and the King of Cups. I'm going to stop pulling cards. Here's the Eight of Pentacles. Here's the Seven. So we've managed to go from the 7 to the 8 despite this cold season because we're slipping now instead of sliding. Instead of sliding all the way back to the 5 of Pentacles, we go through a period that may be a little weird and maybe a little funky. But like these can be our friends, these can be our guides. This is just a willingness to not be so. It's like in the past with this Four of Cups, like it would have been a complete concession. Is that the word I want? It would have been a complete like giving up. Like, oh my gosh, like this happened today. I'm gonna go all the way back. And maybe you do for like a day or two. And you're like, okay, well, all right, it's time to get back on track. All right, I've been here long enough. And then we sort of tap into the resources and the sources of love and encouragement that are around us or within us. And we get back on track. And again, it's like what that does is it completely changes the game with this world card. It sets us up for something new. And in reality, or in a certain viewing, in a certain way, it could actually be this experience or these experiences that teach us how to slip instead of sliding, that teach us that it's okay to have an off day or two because we're human. But it also teaches us that we have it within us to sort of like pick ourselves back up or to find our way back to that space, right? And that's the Emperor. This is the sort of control, I guess, that we gain in those situations that it's almost like maybe the situation happens to elucidate to you, to illuminate to you, to highlight to you, to show you that this is something that you're now capable of. So it didn't necessarily happen to take you all the way out, or it wasn't necessarily allowed to happen to take you all the way out. And again, we always have choice and free will at the end of the day. But I'm trying to take a sip of some water. I'm thirsty. But that's what this Emperor is, especially with this World card. This is now the ability that no matter what the world throws at us, we'll be able to regain our balance. And then that puts us at the Star, where there was shadow side energy. And the shadow side came out, or the sorcerer came out yesterday. The devil card in the Mystical Dreams Tarot. Oh my gosh, these two came out together. Because it was in one half of the deck, it was the shadow side. And at the bottom of the deck was like the dream tower or the divine tower or something like that. And it was this energy. It's very much so this energy. Because we come into a sort of space of stability. Stability is it's the best word that I can find. It's a stability that exists and persists even if we hit a cold day in the middle of a growing season. Even if we hit a little bit of a drought, even if like because again with this Wheel of Fortune, the weather can do anything. No matter what happens, we'll be good. Again, like we may sway. Even trees sway in the breeze, as big as they are. And it's sometimes it's like if they don't bend, if they don't sway, then they'll break. They'll just straight up crack. And a cracked tree or a tree that's been uprooted is no good to anybody, let alone to the tree itself, right? That's putting us in this star energy. I feel like this star energy, it's the ability to begin to see light or to look for light or to find light, even in spaces of darkness. And when we can do that, it makes this energy a lot easier. It makes it a lot easier to be more in control when you can find the light in the dark, when you can find the perspective, when you can find the way, when you can receive, right? And so what it does is it puts a halt or it changes our relationship with shadowy energy, because now this is no longer something that will take us like off path as much, right? And it felt like that energy in some ways, it's almost like it was being, I don't want to know if it's like transmuted, but it's almost like we build up spiritual immunity to this shadow side energy. And so it's like our spiritual immune system again. I don't know if it feels like it's a little bit developed by habit. It feels like it's a little bit developed as a pattern as we encounter more and more life, and as our reactions start to shift, and as what we look at starts to shift. As we sort of sift through experiences, okay, this is something that will nurture me. This is something that I can release back to the water. Um, oh, my head is hurting. It puts us, where was I? What was I talking about? It's because we no longer, in some ways, it's like we just no longer succumb to this like shadow energy. Oh, spiritual immune system. It makes us immune to it. So it's like even if we do get infected, our spiritual body can just like, it takes care of it. And it takes care of it in a way that we don't too much consciously have to even be aware of. We build up immunity. Spiritual immunity. Rob said that one day, well, on Russ's channel, when the protection card came out, and how we can be really, really quick to ask for protection. But it's almost like we rely on protection or ask for protection so much that it leaves us almost like spiritually vulnerable, I guess, because we haven't built up the immunity within ourselves to really be able to handle situations or to respond to situations in a healthier manner, right? It's almost like we can potentially prevent ourselves from from establishing everything that happens between the 7 and 8, all these cards on the table. And so what'll happen is we keep crashing, we keep sliding all the way back to the 5. And the 8 of Pentacles is the card of attaining mastery through practice. So if we keep sliding back to the 5, it's like I don't know if we'll even be able to approach the 8 of Pentacles. If that's our habit, if that's our pattern, let alone be in the 8 of Pentacles energy long enough to get this ace to then move to the 9. And it's like all things are something in preparation for something else. And then we end this with the Page of Cups. Page of Cups came after the Tower and the shadow side. And I feel like this is a new way of experiencing life. It's a new way of living life. It's a new way of maybe experiencing connection because we're not so susceptible to this energy. And I love when these cards come out like this because it's like this is a false light. This is a projection, and they're cowering in fear from this projection. This is that divine light that's sort of breaking into the system to disrupt this or to provide you insight while you're in this situation. It's almost like there may be some like shadow side energy in front of you where like you're cowering behind the rocks, but because of this light distorting this projection, it starts to like glitch a little bit, or you notice that like wait, like that's not really there because something happens in the way it moves, or maybe it disappears and then it comes back or something like that. In that moment of divine interruption, which can be divine intervention. It's like it's interruption turned intervention when we allow it to be. It's intended to be intervention, or it could be intended to be interruption. I don't know. I'm not the divine. It gives us the opportunity to look at something and be like, wait, like, I don't have to be bound by this anymore. And that opens us up to experience something in a new way. And the King of Cups is down here. This is the choice. This is the choice, Two of Pentacles. We can either become King of Cups and keep evolving as this page, or we can remain a page by refusing to sort of grow. And again, it's all in how we handle these sudden and drastic changes in season. The opportunity is here to go to the eight and then to receive the Ace of Pentacles. But the opportunity is also there to be like bankrupted back to the Five of Pentacles. It's literally like bankrupt in Wheel of Fortune. And it goes, boo, or whatever the sound is, and you lose all your money when you land on a bankrupt space. Who's at the top of the deck? I'm curious. Ten of Swords. This is a process that's being observed. It's a process that in some way you're being guided through, even if you're not directly being guided through it. It feels like maybe the guidance is a series and a succession of these sword moments. And it feels like every sword is a little tower moment, or it could be a tower moment, but it's a tower moment in relation to another. It's getting you closer and closer and closer to finally exiting certain cycles that don't serve you. I don't know where this came from, but I just put the deck down to try to shuffle it. Oh, well, where did the other cards go? Oh, they're here. The Four of Wands just came out. I took a picture of my friends. My friends. They there was a gazebo or pergola or whatever you call it out in the arboretum, and they wanted a picture, and they took a picture, and like first they were just taking cute pictures, and then they kissed, and then like he put his hand around her and she kicked her leg up, and like it reminded me of this card because of how the pillars of the gazebo were. But actually it was six wands because there were still two in the back, but the two off to the side really gave me that Four of Wands sort of feeling. Yeah, I was just gonna put these down to shuffle and it just flew out. I was like, okay, girl, you want to be seen. So that's what this is. Weekly release will be tomorrow. And the weekly release is, I don't do like it too often, but it's a foot soaking meditation that uses Epsom salt. And basically, the premise is that as we go through life, things happen and they call them catches. Like we pick up these catches, and a foot soaking meditation, it releases the catches as they sort of dissolve into the salt water, like out of the feet, right? And so what it does is it's almost like defragging your hard drive, I guess. It's like when things slow down enough that you go through and you start deleting things. Like if you're running out of space, then you start deleting things that you don't need. It's essentially like that. And so what I do is I come and I pull cards, and whatever happens, happens. And then it's like I release it, or I do my little piece of releasing it from the collective in order to, I don't know, make it easier for people to navigate in some energetic way, right? When it's all energetic and quantum, then things help. And I've experienced the world already change and shift enough, or at least my world change and shift enough that I know that it does something. Oh, what is this? So the lovers just came out with the Two of Cups at the bottom of the deck. Hey, Mimi, how are you doing today? The lovers and the Two of Cups. This was them under the pergola. I was like, oh, y'all so cute. Nah, I'm about to get off now, but it is a little later. I was gone all day today, and I didn't think I would be. I didn't anticipate being gone all day today. I anticipated a few hours. It turned into the whole day, but it's fine. I got to spend some time with some precious friends. One of them graduated. She got her master's, so shout out to her. Whoop, whoop. We took pictures, did a lot of walking, so much walking. And now I have a few days, a few weeks until we go on our vacation. And it's so interesting because one of the spaces that we're going to go to, it's a place that I saw maybe the end of last year or the beginning of this year. And I was like, oh my gosh, this place is gorgeous. And then a few months ago, maybe like late March, early April. I think it was late March. I was like, I want to go to one of these places. Like, I want to go to this place. I was like, I want a vacation. I have the funds for a vacation. I want one. Now, the original plan sort of fell through, but last time I went to visit my buddy, or the time before last, I was like, "Hey, like we should go to this place." And they were like, "Oh, well, we already have a trip planned for like late May, early June. Like, you want to come?" I was like, "Oh my gosh, yes." And then when he sent the itinerary, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is one of the places that I wanted to see." And it's on the list. I didn't even have to ask. I was like, "What?" So, I'm excited for that. Also, today has proven to me that I need to build up my stamina and endurance because I'm going with some fit people. So, and I got to try to keep up. I was like, I talked to my buddy. I was like, "Am I going to be okay?" He was like, I don't know, but you'll be fine." So I was like, all right. And also, I've been learning to say yes a lot anyway. I mean, I guess it's not surprising because Uranus is in my first house. Uranus is officially in my first house now. I'm like a 8-degree Taurus rising. So Uranus came into my first house and then it retrograded back into my 12th house. And now it's in my first house again. And I don't think it's going to retrograde back into my 12th house. But also, I'm not sure. So it might. But I mean, I've been experiencing a lot of like that energy. The first house is the house of self. Also, my moon is there. And so it's like Uranus is getting further from my ascendant and closer to my moon. And so it's also pulling out some of these things in my like emotional body. But excuse me, since it's in Taurus, it's like for me, and maybe since I'm a Pisces sun, it's like my emotional body holds my identity. Like my emotional spiritual body holds my identity. Like, I don't necessarily care about the physical appearance or like the job or like my physical conditions in life. It's like me, it's like my ethics, morality, and integrity. Probably not surprising if you've been watching me for some time, but that's what I sort of hold or stake my identity in. And like first house Taurus on first sort of appearance or on first inspection, like you might think that somebody who's like super materialistic, like you define yourself by the things that you have, potentially. But even that is going through a space of transformation right now because I'm allowing it to, right? I can be super resistant and stuck, but also I don't want that because there's a lot of beautiful things that I want in life that old Patrick was in no way, shape, form, or fashion anywhere near being able to even comfortably imagine, let alone live. Like the little bit of opportunity and happiness I was offered, I sabotaged the mess out of. And some of it I worked really hard for. I worked really hard for some opportunities and then I didn't even take them because fear kicked in. So anyway, I'm learning to say yes in my life. I learned to say yes today. I'm learning to go with the flow and to not be angry or upset about things that I had no control over because it doesn't do me any good. And honestly, today, if things would have worked out perfectly, then I probably wouldn't have had the time. I probably wouldn't have had as much time to spend as I did. So like it would have been gorgeous if it like would have worked out as originally planned. But also in it and in myself allowing it to work out this way, I experienced something gorgeous. And it's almost a shame that this is somebody that I've known in proxy for like 5 years now, almost like 4.5 years now, who I had minimal interaction and exchange with over the phone. And she's been here for 2 years now. I mean, last year, I guess doesn't count because what nobody really doing nothing or going anywhere. Um, but it's like right before she leaves, I'm getting to know her. And just that, in and of itself, old Patrick wasn't capable of. Old Patrick would have been like, oh, well, she's leaving soon anyway. So there's no point in getting attached to her. There's no point in getting emotionally attached to somebody that I know is going to be leaving my life. Like, why would I do that? Hello? Old Patrick would have also started sabotaging this friendship that I have with my friend. Like, oh, he's going to be moving soon. That's going to hurt. Better sabotage the mess out of this to try to minimize the pain that I feel later. I don't know. Has that ever worked for anybody? Because it doesn't feel like it's any less painful. It just feels like I carry more toxic trauma response baggage because of that. So I'm in a space of allowing. So I know, right? 2020 gave it to me. You want vacation and have the funds now. I do too. Like there is a little bit I already got vacation funds started because my friend is going to the UK and I already have my UK vacation travel funds accounts open. So I will also be there at some point. I kind of hope that I can be there while his girlfriend's there so we can all like get together again because she's not going to be in the country anymore. Um, but also like I'm like y'all can like because she hasn't even been to the UK yet, and I was like, how did I make it over here with you before she made it over here with you? So also like I'm gonna let them have their time, right? Because I'm like, no, y'all's a couple. A lot of walking is good for you. That's what they say. But anyway, that's what I got today. Again, one last time, blackberry winter describes a brief period of cold weather that occurs when blackberries are in bloom in the United States, early to mid May. And the page today already says it's brief, but I guess when you exist outside of time, then the concept of brief or soon may not necessarily translate the same. It may not necessarily equal Earth time. So, what is brief to the divine may be an eternity here. No, I don't think it's necessarily the case. Also, again, it does feel like this period of cold weather can last longer if we, I don't want to say allow. Allow isn't quite the word. The duration of the cold weather depends on us in some way. That feels comfortable. So I will catch y'all later. 47:47 on the clock. Weekly release tomorrow. I will do it. I will do it. It will happen. I don't know what it'll be like though. So don't get your expectations or your hopes up. Or do. I don't know. I feel like every time I've done those, or more often than not, I'm like, what is this? And then I'll get something and I'm like what? No, like no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And spirit's like, actually, yes, we are doing that because we love people and because we help and assist people and because like we want some things to change down there just as much as a lot of y'all want things to change down here. So things are probably going to change, and that's okay. I'd be like, back in my day, I had to walk up and down. I had to walk 25 miles just to get to the hill that I had to walk up in the freezing cold to get to school. And then I had to do it coming home, fighting bears and snakes and tigers and everything else. It's like, girl, okay, grandpa, it's not that serious. Calm down. So I'll catch y'all later. I hope you have a good whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that you can see the things that you need to see in the way that makes it all the more easier. Because context isn't necessarily a solution, but it can help a lot in navigating spaces of challenge. It can help a lot. And again, I feel like that's what that star is coming off of the world and the emperor. That star is the ability to find the context that brings a tower moment to any shadowy energy rather than us sort of like being stuck in it and slipping or sliding all the way back to the Five of Pentacles. And sometimes it's like you may actually find yourself slipping ahead. Like, have you ever fallen forward instead of like falling back? Potentially. I don't know. Has it happened? Probably. Take it as it resonates. I don't know. I feel like you can sometimes slip ahead, though, honestly. But again, that would probably be a matter of perspective because, you can turn a slip into a slide. And the difference between slip and slide may also be a matter of perspective, right? Because what's a slide to you may be a slip to somebody else. I don't know. All right. All the best. Oh, yeah. Up the stairs. Oh, I had to walk stairs today. I was like, I was stressed. I was stressed because I almost missed a step. And after that one step, I was like, all right, anyway, I gotta go. Bye.